Okay, here's the last of summary review number 5, number 9 and 10. Number 9 is just dealing with some of the absolute values, but with with horizontal and vertical shifts, or vertical and horizontal shifts. Okay, and we can take a look at this first one. And again, I look at this, I've got a vertical shift of -2, I'm sorry, -4, a vertical shift of -4, pardon me, and I've got a horizontal shift of -3, because remember it's the opposite of that sign, just like in parabolas, it's the opposite of that sign for the horizontal shift. So horizontal shift of -3, 1, 2, 3, and a vertical shift of -4. There we go. And then I'm going to use the same shape equation. This is my shape equation, y equals 2 times the absolute value of x. So when x is 1, 2 times 1 is 2, plus or minus, still the same thing, plus or minus 2, the absolute value of that is going to be 2, 2 times 2 is 4, absolute value plus or minus 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, so those are my values. And I can just put those values in, and I have myself a nice, a little bit skinnier. Okay. I'm going to draw those points in. Just have to be careful that I don't smear my ink. You draw those in like this. Something like that. Okay? There we go. Okay. And the next one. -0.5 times the absolute value of x minus 2 plus 3. So again, I've got a vertical shift of +3 and a horizontal shift of, remember the opposite of negative is positive, +2. So I'm going to go over 2 and up 3. And there's my shift. And there's my shape equation, 1/2. And again, we use even values because we're going to take half of that. So 0, 0 is here. And then when x is plus or minus 2, half of 2 is 1. And that's going to be negative. So I'm going to go over 2, down 1. Back 2, down 1. And then when x goes over plus or minus 4, I'm going to take a look at this. Absolute value plus or minus 4 is 4. Half of 4 is 2, and that's -2. So I'm going to go over 4, down 2. And there you go. No problem. Okay. And then just connect those with a ruler, and you're in good shape, or straight edge. Something like this. That'll be a little bit better because I've got a point to work on there, okay? So that's what you got there, okay? And this last one over here, and letter C. Let's take a look at this. And we've got a horizontal shift of -1, because the opposite of +1 is -1, and vertical down 5. So -1 down 5. That's my vertical shift, -5. My horizontal shift is -1. And again, this is going to be 3. So when x is 1, and I just say plus or minus 1 over here. Plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3. The absolute value of these are 1, 2, and 3. 3 times 1 is 3. So I go over 1 up 3, or back 1 up 3, over 2 up 6, and then over 3 up 9. There you go. So these are pretty easy to graph. You want to make sure that, you're familiar with them. Okay, and the last one I'll be doing is in here. Something like that. Okay. All right, something like that. You can use a ruler and get through your points really good. Okay, these lines are these little squares are kind of small, so sometimes it's hard to see. Okay, the last one is a step function. I gave a definition for this. Okay, it's sometimes called INT, sometimes known as INT of x. I think that's what our book uses, integer x. Okay? And basically, it's the integer, the greatest integer, that any number in here is, I read my definition, It's the greatest integer function. It's the greatest integer that x is greater than to the right of or equal to. So any value here, what's the greatest integer in this range here? Well, that'd be like 0.5 or something. So the greatest integer that would be 0. It's equal to 0 and it goes to here. It should be open, I'm sorry. Then here and it's open. And I gave you some values on the sheet to try. So it looks something like this. And it's kind of what we call, sometimes we call it a step function. Okay? So if we look at this, like if I look at a number here like 0.5, if I look at negative 0.5, the largest integer that's greater than would be negative 1, you see. If this was negative 1.5, that would be over here, and the integer, largest integer that's greater than would be negative 2. All right, it's not greater than negative 1. So that gives you an idea. And then all we have to do is we can shift these, and we can, the same thing like with a parabola or with our absolute value, we can do horizontal vertical shifts. This is a vertical shift of up 2. So what I'll do is I'll start at this point, and then this one's going to go up 2. So I just moved it up 2 right here. So instead of starting 0, open 1, I go 0, open 1, but I'm going to raise it up 2. And then I just follow the pattern after that. It's pretty. And you can do as many of these as you want. Just see the pattern. Okay, and the last one over here, this has got a horizontal shift of -3 and a vertical shift of -1. So I'll go -1, -1, 2, 3, and that's going to be my first point right like this, my center point. That's where I begin it. And then you just step it up. Now these get kind of complicated when you put numbers in front of them and start making them, smaller. That's when it gets to be tricky, but this just gives you an idea so you're familiar with that when you see that integer function. Okay? Hope that makes sense.